Hello, this is video number 4. I'm going to go over unit conversions. How do we convert between units? Sometimes you're given units in one system and you need to maybe convert it to the SI system, or you're trying to use a quantity in an equation and you just need to convert the units. So how do we do this? So I'd like to show you the steps that I follow to convert between units. So the first step is to figure out what units that you are given and then what units that you're trying to convert to. The second step is determine the conversion factor. So here you're going to be given the relation between the two units, and then you just have to make them into a fraction. And we'll show you that in the next examples. And then once you've made your conversion factor, you multiply your given units by this conversion factor, and what will happen is that the given units will cancel out and you'll be left with the units that you want. So let's see these 3 steps in action here in example number 3. So this example, you're given the length of this bird in inches and you're trying to convert it to centimeters. So I added this here that we are also given that the relation between the two units, that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. You're going to be given this. You don't have to memorize any of these relations. So the first step is figure out the given units, which is the inches. So I like to write down what I'm given here on the left-hand side, 4.75 inches. And in the desired units, what you want is centimeters. I like to write that on the right-hand side. And there's going to be a blank here that we're going to try to figure out how many centimeters 4.75 inches is equal to. So the second step is to determine the conversion factor. So what I said earlier is you're going to make a fraction or ratio with these two numbers here. So you could either do it like this, 1 inch divided by 2.54 centimeters, or you could write it as 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. Since the two things are equal to each other, the ratio is equal to 1 whichever way that you write it. So the idea is that if this ratio is equal to 1, then you can multiply your number by 1 by this ratio without changing anything. And that's what's going to convert your units. So you need to figure out which one to multiply by and just choose the one so that your given units will cancel out. So if we want the inches to cancel out, then we want to pick the second conversion factor here that has the inches on the bottom. So we're going to do 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. And then the inches will cancel out. And then we just need to plug this in the calculator, 4.75 multiplied by 2.54, and we'll get 12.1. And this is actually what I was going to write in the blank here. So 12.1 centimeters is the final answer. So we took what we're given, we multiplied it by our conversion factor so that the given units canceled out, and we were left with our desired units. I have one more example for us, and this one is a little bit harder because we're trying to convert 1 gram per centimeter cubed to kilograms per meter cubed. So there are 2 units that you're going to have to convert, which means you're going to have to multiply your number here by 2 conversion factors. This is a your turn, means I want you to go ahead and try it on your own, pause the video, and then you can look at the solution once you've tried it on your own. Okay, so hopefully you've tried on your own. So let's give it a shot here. So first thing is write down what you're given. We're given 1 gram per centimeter cubed, and then we're trying to get to kilograms per meter cubed here. We're trying to figure out what number is here, and I gave you a hint that you're going to need to multiply by 2 conversion factors because there are 2 units that we're trying to convert here. So the first thing is we're trying to convert grams to kilograms. So you need to know the relation between the two, and if you remember our discussion on prefixes, kilo means 10 to the third or 1,000. So if you replace kilo with that power of 10, you get 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So with this, you want to write a conversion factor so that the grams will be on the bottom, so they'll cancel out. So you're going to write 1 kilogram on top and 1,000 grams on the bottom. The grams will cancel out. And then the trickier one is, how do you convert from centimeters cubed to meters cubed? So what you're going to be tempted to do is write the relationship between meters and centimeters. So if you know your prefixes in 1 centimeter, centi means 10 to negative 2. So 10 to negative 2 grams, which you can also write as 0.01 grams. Now, my personal preference when I'm dealing with small prefixes is I actually like to write it the other way. I like to write that you have 100 centimeters. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to write grams. I meant to write meters here. And I like to say there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Because I know centimeters are small and you need 100 of them to make 1 meter, you can get that by just multiplying both sides here by 100. If you multiply 1 by 100, you get 100. 0.01 by 100, you get 1. So I just prefer this one to use for my conversion factor, but it really doesn't matter. So centimeters is on the bottom, so that means I'm going to want to write centimeters on top so that they'll cancel. But the trick is that you can't just stop here. This is what a lot of students would want to do. We're trying to get centimeters cubed to meters cubed, not centimeters to meters. So what we need to do here is what I have in the hint down here. If the unit is cubed, go ahead and cube the prefix as well. So since we have centimeters cubed, then we're going to go ahead and cube that. Meters are cubed, the 1 is cubed, which 1 cubed is equal to 1, so that one doesn't matter. But the 100 must be cubed. Now you have your accurate conversion factor that there's 100 cubed centimeters cubed in 1 meter cubed. So now the centimeters cubed will cancel out, and now you can go ahead and multiply it out. 1 times 1 times 100 cubed divided by 1 times 1,000 times 1. So 100 cubed divided by 1,000, which will give you 1,000. So that's the final answer. So the final answer was A here. And just one more thing, in case you're wondering, well, why do I need to cube that prefix? Well, if you think about the fact that there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and this ratio is equal to 1, well, you can multiply this ratio by itself a couple more times, and look at what happens. If you multiply it by itself 3 times, you now get centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, which gives you the centimeters cubed. It gives you the meters cubed on the bottom here, but you see there are 100 3 times. You have to have 100 cubed to make this an accurate conversion factor. So that's the end of this video. Just to recap, when you're converting units, write down what you're given, write down the conversion factor, make sure the units cancel them out, and then you'll end up with your given. I strongly recommend that you take an extra 30 seconds to write it down. When students try to do it in their head, a lot of times they'll do it backwards. So it's just worth writing down to make sure that you're not making a mistake.